Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. So the opening slide was, did yesterday live up to the hype and does it matter? Well, it doesn't matter until it matters. I mean, what went up yesterday? What didn't go up? We're always looking at what's happening in the market. Markets are an uptrend, undeniably. Uptrend, uptrend. Most of yesterday's move happened on the gap up. Not everything participated. We know that for a fact, but in a sense, does it matter? Well, it matters. Like, did you participate in it? What did you own? What did you take advantage of? It always comes down to that, and then we talk about, did the market do this? Did the market do that? Because it comes down eventually is like, hey, we're trying to take advantage of whatever we can day to day. And so from that point, what did we get to take advantage of in the sense that that's what matters? Or did things gap up such a large amount that from that point things didn't move so much? Every day can be different, right? The day before that, yesterday, I think it was that the day, it was like things just didn't move until the end of the day, as if the Nvidia news was leaked out, 20 minutes before the close, and then things ripped up. Prior to that, nothing happened. So as active investors and traders, it's day to day, and okay, what's the market doing? Because we don't want to get caught in any kind of downdraft. And we'll look at broader markets. But one of the things that keeps coming up, and I see an article here today. So we look at news to see, hey, what's going on in the world, right? And then what different stocks. And we start and we hear more about China and real estate issues. We hear about in this country, commercial real estate issues. And there are things we don't know about because whatever news we get to look at. But I see this article today, which I'll share. Maybe some of you saw it. That is now talking about problems in Germany. So it's kind of like, there's some cockroaches out there. And we just got to keep that in mind because right now, for whatever reason, you can say the markets, institutions, investors could care less. You know, all they're focused on take advantage of what's happening right now. That's all well and good, but we want to keep an eye on things. You remember the real estate issues here in the U.S. and everything was okay until the proverbial crap hit the fan, and then it was a disaster. I mentioned earlier in the week that one of the interviews that I saw was that the issue in China was like, and I'm just making up numbers, I don't remember exactly what we said, but it's like 10 times worse than when it was here in the US. Yeah, Alex is sharing today GDP report in Germany minus 0.3%, third quarterly minus in a row. That means recession. So there's, and then there's this news about banks going on there. So I share that just to keep in mind the perspective of sometimes these things, whatever's happening, we don't fully understand it. Um, it seems illogical that markets are ignoring these things, and that's okay. We can't get too caught up as like in that because our focus is to be what can we profit from today? What can we profit from in the next few days and weeks? And keeping in mind that there's something out there that, you know, just keep it in mind, because who knows at what point that all of a sudden, institutions, the markets all of a sudden start to pay attention to it for whatever reason. All right. Enough of that. Breath yesterday sucked. you know, you know, but financials went up, certain things went up. There was that gap up. There's tech stocks in the S&P. Financials were pretty good yesterday. But did the broader markets participate? Not according to the numbers. We look at, the transports. They had a great day, meaning, up a couple of 100 points. But as we look at the chart, it's like, oh, big deal. It's in the middle of a trading range. It's going nowhere. But can it continue to go up? and make an RBI, red bar ignored, on the weekly time frame, where this is, is it developing into a sideways consolidation, a correction through time after a move up where it'll eventually move up to make new highs? Or is this just a more complex M top where it's going to break lower? Nobody knows. So we don't know. That's, we just look at what's happening and we say, hey, here's a pivot low. It's coming down to the pivot low. There should be buyers there. What does it do? Does it go sideways at the pivot low, which says the demand there is not enough to push up, which yesterday, based on a news item, which a bar like this forms, and maybe some of this is just short covering. As we start looking at, different markets, look at the monster gap up after this pulled back as it did. It was at support, but this was driven by news. In any event, when we look at the charts, it's extended, but it ain't going down. The question is, does it become a trading range consolidation that goes higher, or is this just a whippy consolidation that often happens near the end of a trend, where eventually, it breaks down? And so whether that forms like an upside shakeout, whether it eventually maybe forms as a head and shoulders top, we don't know. It's in development mode. So we wait. Retailing did nothing yesterday. Okay. Financials, new high, looks good. Little consolidation, another gap up and, moved up a little bit more. As you put your alerts in, maybe bring it up here, see if it fills the gap, see what happens. Energy, kind of a mess. Crude oil has been kind of just back and forth, consolidating. A little news clip went by today. Oh, oil's down because, the Fed isn't going to lower interest rates. Well, maybe. What are the influences? Point is, whatever the news is that's out there that we would read, or what not, what does the chart say? So far, it's just a messy consolidation at the top of the range. It's not going down. But set an alert. Up above here, does it break out? Does it break down? Leave it alone. Like semiconductors, monster gap, NVIDIA, AMD, so on and so forth. And that's where, the big move came into. And this becomes actually going to become major support. It was minor support. Now that this made a new high, becomes major support. The monster gap here, this could result in a lot of slop back and forth for a few days. And so now that that's cleared that high, we put that up here. And if you understand gaps, right, that was a big gap. But the factory work with gaps, if you've taken the gap course, is some basic stuff. What was resistance becomes support. So when prices gap above, when they pull back to those highs, that's where you look for buyers to step in. Now, a gap of that size, logically, you might think, I would think, hey, you know what, maybe it pulls back deeper into this support area here. No. Was it gap up, a little blip down, and off to the races? Over exuberance? I think so. But hey, it's still going up. And there's still unfilled gaps down here. And we see what's going on here. Day to day, gap down, gap up. So it's kind of crazy, what's happening. Anyway, keep it in mind. Don't get caught up too much, the news, and look at the chart. Go with what it says. And this looked like it was sideways. We had a red bar. We had a slowing momentum bar. News turned it around. And here's the strikes for today. Will it get up here? Usually not. After a giant gap, usually it's consolidation day and it's a Friday. If it goes up a little bit, and now, you've got 5,100. The next whole number there. So that should provide some resistance. It got close to that yesterday. So that should provide some resistance. So I don't think it can get up there today, but get down to the bottom today, it better not, because then we all know what that means if it went down there. So each day, the day to day has been where neither strikes get hit. Interest rates doing nothing. Kind of yesterday was a yawn as far as interest rates went, was all about tech. So again, consolidated back and forth, did absolutely nothing. Bitcoin down 1,000 here, but hey, it's had a monster move. It's consolidating pretty bullishly so far. So that's all good. Gold, it's up here, but we've been talking about this. It's just slopping back and forth, back and forth. Silver, same story. These markets are just not ready for any major considerable move to take advantage of. It's just not there yet. The industrials, new all-time high. Right? Gap up, it cleared the top of the range. It's got an unfilled gap. We got this major support now. We've got a new trading range. As we go into next week, clearly prices need to stay above this range. If they fill the gap, they got to stay above the bottom of it. They shouldn't retrace too deeply into that. That's the factory work as we look at what becomes major support, where prices are at. We review retracements, not Fibonacci's. Just, hey, if something was here and it went here, it shouldn't come all the way back down there. Common sense. Can it come halfway there? Sure. Come down here, minor support, even somewhere in here. Got to chop around. Is it going to 40,000? We'll see. If it breaks below here, something obviously went very wrong. Step by step, common sense. And what else can we take a peek at here? We didn't look at the futures, but they're not doing much here this morning. Kind of a wait and see. They didn't take out that pivot high. S&Ps obviously pushed up, wide range bar, major support. The Russell yesterday did nothing. So here's this monster gap. NVIDIA, which last I looked this morning, I think it was over 800. There was a lot of 800 strike calls being bought yesterday. So it's like this. Here's this, fantastic news. The AI thing. Well, one measure of risk is, hey, small caps, they did nothing. We need to see these things start to participate. And of course, the transport start to do a little better. Does the Fibonacci people influence trading? So those of you on social media asking, Robert's asking me about retracements. So I don't care about Fibonacci. That's the hocus pocus, holy grail BS that's out there. Like anything you put on your chart that is subjective, as well as a moving average, it really comes down to, when you talk about influences, how many people do you think are looking at that subjective piece of information? Now, if we're looking at the S&P 500, will a 50 MA be something of influence? Yes. Will a 200 MA be something of influence? Yes. Will a 0.682 retracement be something of influence? Most likely not. So if it's gotten to that level, it's a 70% retracement, people are already beginning to think something's wrong. However, if you're trading the euro or the British pound intraday and you got this leveraged instrument that you have more esoteric analysis being used by those traders, it could have an influence on that instrument. So as you think about something like that, you might, and this could go out to, what am I looking for? Market profile. Who's looking at market profile? Well, if you see a whole, an instrument that's being focused on, it all comes down to support and resistance. You can't get into all of this esoteric type analysis. It'll give you brain damage because you'll be on to the next holy grail indicator. You have to accept your way of looking at things. For us, it's looking to the left. It's a couple of simple moving averages, bar by bar analysis, more simple, common sense type of things. People trade price. And you're never going to know everything that could possibly happen. But money management allows you to free yourself from, oh my God, what if this, what if that? Hey, this is a pattern that I trade. So is it a good enough pattern as I define it to place a trade and risk a certain amount of money? That's what it comes down to. If not, move on. So that's it for today. Have a great Friday, great weekend. And Dan will cover opens and gaps and all yours, Dan.
Start with earnings. I don't have any gappers. I mean, any alarms going off on our stuff. And I did post a huge list of put spread and call spread ideas, though. Raul on YouTube, though. Let's see what he has for us. SCSS, long above yesterday's high. Sure. Sure. It's a buy setup. Bullish weekly, monthly. Shirts not working. All right, did that move it over this time? Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is what Raul's asking about. Yep, looks good. Buy setup. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. All right, earnings. I went through and I chopped off a bunch already. So if there's any I don't get through, and it doesn't mean all these are good. It just means I winnowed it down. NU 979. Eh, if it didn't gap down as much, could have been a day trade. Valley, I said put spread idea, bottoming pattern, SWN. We'll see. That's a big move into earnings at resistance. Let's see if we can chop around a little bit. Square. Oh wow, this thing is still chopping up here. All right, shoot. I was hoping it was going to open under 79. We have a condor. We still should have a nice open profit, but we're short the 81, 83. So we only did $2 wide, and then our put spread. Um, how far away was I just let that thing expire at full profit. Let's see the put spread. It doesn't matter. It's way the heck down here. All right, so yeah, so I'll manage that. I said move stop 10-minute high, but we'll guaranteed we sold it for 46 cents on a $2 wide, even though with this big gap up, we're gonna have a nice open profit. Carvana. This was on my core long list. Look at that beautiful monthly. It was a beautiful buy setup too yesterday, but for earnings, that would have been the day to go core long, at least half lot. But now, big old gap. I got SMCI on the other computer. Let me put Carvana there. I mean, I don't know what to do with it. Whenever it's a bullish gap, but under 30-minute low, I might do a call spread. A recent IPO here. I set an alarm at 478. Out. What's that? AAOI getting whacked. 14 bucks. I was hoping it was going to open way down here at the 200. A couple oils here getting whacked that otherwise were bullish. That was a nice 1, 2, 3. Now the gap's messing it up. EIX. Let's find better. MP. better. A bearish gap down here. That's a call spread idea. And when I say idea, of course, that just means you got to go through your checklist. Q's ripping here in spiders pre-market. Interesting. Still a continued bullishness through yesterday, I guess. Apple, no pattern. Live Nation, that was a nice buy setup into a WRB, bullish weekly and monthly. That would have been a beautiful trade had it not been gapping up so much. Rocket Man, that's it's garbage, but put spread if there's any juice. Cold, nothing. FND, I said yesterday in the green room that if this opened flat, looked like a good direction along. So it was up at 120, now 118. Nothing immediate, but bullish. DVAX, bottoming pattern, little gap reversal, put spread. Nothing now. SFM, bullish all time frames. I'd be selling into this gap though, so nothing. DH, possible buy setup. I mean, it is a buy setup, but I mean, possible trade. You could set an alarm at 940 if you want. Golf Hotel, potential bottoming pattern, but now gapping down. No interest. Intuit, $4 gap down on that stock is really nothing. I don't see any gaps. NE, another oil gapping down. Pod 185. There's a beautiful call spread idea and maybe 30-minute low short. So that I like. I'm gonna put that in a window. That's a beautiful bearish gap. Nog opening pretty flat. We'll come back to it. IBR. Let's set an alarm at 871. Because this could be, consolidation here with a void. The tie up $4. That's excessive gap on a $58. Come on, data. What's wrong with you? Bullish gap, but gap's too big. Alex, you mentioned, and I said I loved it if it opened flat, but I see a print down here. This is bullish consolidation at resistance with a closing breakout, daily, weekly, buy setup monthly. That looks great. Maybe that's a bad print and it recovers. Let me set an alarm at 2230. Look, I already had one at 2255 from scanning yesterday. So that means that was on my beautiful long watch. Playa, I set an alarm at 888. Mealy, if it opened flat, would have been a beautiful long. But guess what? Now it's down here. So number one, that's the risk of earnings. Number two, that's bar by bar analysis. A bullish pattern just turned bearish with one print. So it start off with a call spread. A main. Ideally, we get a 1, 2, 3 for Tuesday. EBA, a little bear sandwich breakout. This is it. Gapping down, nothing. Altera, gapping down, trading range, nothing. Snomber. This one I said in the green room, if it gaps just over that red bar, it would be a nice red bar ignored inverse head and shoulder. It's exactly what it's doing. But I said just over. I wanted it to open at $12. Right now it's 12.55, but keep an eye on it. RHP has been bullish. I just had Pan W alarm go off. This is the one that got whacked on earnings on Wednesday. A lot of the other ones in the sector recovered yesterday with a nice gap up. So I have this on my list for a put spread over yesterday's high. Sim breakout failure, bullish gap, but no interest. ENV, I said if it opened flat, then maybe 10-minute low short. No pattern. Well, yeah, no pattern. WBD is just in a nasty downtrend all daily, weekly, monthly, but that's a big percentage gap down. Look at that 10%, no interest. 70 AER whipping all over the place. Trading range, RBA, sloppy. Lamar. Wow, this thing ripped into earnings. You think somebody knew something? Look at that end of day base. Now it's gapping up to 118. So the people who made a bullish bet are getting paid. Blue Man, I think I have an alarm at 2685 here. That's kind of a 1, 2, 3. Show I posted as a long closing breakout, downside shakeout, bullish weekly, monthly. But it's kind of whippy here pre-market, but I posted that 10-minute high. Potential bottoming pattern, but looks like a dog. NWN gapping down, no interest. Delta 20. Net talk. Net, it's a sloppy buy setup after nice little igniting breakout, big gap. So I don't know. I'll put it on the list. That's not bad at all. I'm not going to rush into it, but it looks good. Talk. That's a beautiful pro gap yesterday, gapping over a red bar from a sideways trend. And the 15-minute chart looks good. It's over the counter stock, I'm assuming, because of 4 decimal places. But that looks great. Wow. I like that one, Delta 20. If you want to speculate on a $2 stock, daily, weekly, monthly are all in alignment. So I like both of those, but you can tell my tonality talk, I think, is a little more right based on this bullish 15-minute chart. Yeah, I like it. All right, fast alarm went off. Cool, we're already in this. So let me go ahead and lower the stop for our subscribers, 71.54. Give me a second. 71.54. Let's see where it's gapping fast. Yeah, this was a new trade of ours yesterday. That's another beautiful igniting breakout. Let's gap in this. Let's give it first target too. See if we can squeeze 20 more cents out of it on a little gap and go. 25, whatever, 30 cents. BBWI alarm, Greg, that was yours. Told me to watch. Playa earnings alarm at 9:02. Naga, Alex, does that sounds like oil? All right, Nog. Nothing to do now, but it's on the interest list. BBWI. 30-minute high would be great on this. All right, pod I mentioned, it's going downtown. I'm gonna watch this talk and a thumbnail that Delta 20 gave us. This alarm. This was on one of your lists yesterday. I'd set an alarm based on that bullish 15-minute chart. Let me set a new alarm at 64.60 on this. I looked at the Bitcoin stocks and most of them were down pre-market. Ah, shoot, I forgot about Square. Thanks for reminding me. I'm in it too. Ah, shoot, because it went through our short strike. Ouch. All right, I'm going to let it settle down because it has 20 cents of intrinsic value. So there's still a lot of time value. I'm just going to let it settle down a little bit. Shoot, I forgot about him. Thanks. I'm just going to relax. Don, we have a max loss. It's a big gap. It's resistance over there. I'm just going to chill. Boeing, I see going down. Greg, there's Boeing we talked about. It's going to be the home run entry, descending triangle, relative weakness, daily, weekly. SYY triggered. Um, wow, look at Carvana. That yeah, see that's a bullish gap. That's bullish daily, weekly, monthly. All right, our show, I said 10. Ooh, that's crazy. Hold it, let's cancel show. That's too crazy. Cancel show. Yeah, that thing's whipping all over the place pre-market. Man, these premiums on friggin' SMCI, I have never seen such a thing. You can still get $1 for the 1250s that expire today. I have never ever seen this. Absolute insane expectations in one day. I wonder what hedge funds are doing with this now. There's a ton of open interest and all these out of the money strikes. I mean, it's a ton of buying power. I'll get NVIDIA. So why do you